just watching this video by Ken Griffin. I'd highly recommend it. YouTube.
Hi everyone.
And this is
Thanks so much
arguably
for
the most
coming.
successful
I want to
person
welcome
in
our students
America.
here, our faculty and staff.
You guys may not know who Ken Griffin is, but he was CEO of Citadel. So if Citadel, which I think he mostly owns himself, Citadel were public, he'd probably be worth over 100 billion or something like that. So he's probably neck and neck with Musk, neck and neck with Bezos. I think that this is a good hour to really enjoy. And throughout the hour, he always talks about the most important thing is continuous learning every day of your life, making that commitment. Really good video. I just shot you the link. So check that out. Thanks a lot, Angela. It's really nice of you. Again, in hedge funds, it's a very odd situation where you make money every year. Based on the amount of money you make, you take a percentage and you put it in your pocket. Now, the thing about Citadel is, and so what you ignore with that is equity value. Right? So if you have a repeatable method to make money over and over again, like a startup, you get a multiple, right? You get 10x or 20x your earnings, like Goldman Sachs or whatever. Also the concept of book value. But anyway, Citadel is worth something. He owns Citadel. Citadel makes a lot of money. Citadel Securities is a lot more like a tech business, and that's really worth something. So arguably, Ken Griffin's the richest man in the world, but not many people care as much about what he says, as much as people follow Warren Buffett or whomever else. So, yeah. So I would think that I don't think Renaissance fell behind. Yeah, I guess in some ways they fell behind, but they do different things. Ken Griffin's goal is to be the world's biggest, most successful money management company ever. I think Renaissance's goal is not that. So in this, you notice that there's a lot of talk in the hedge fund community about Ken Griffin's energy trades, trading commodities using meteorology, supercomputers, and different methods to predict the weather. And they're the best weather predictors in the world. And that helps a lot when you're trying to trade electricity. You know where to stock up on electricity before the demand exists, right? So if you know there's going to be a thunderstorm in Germany, it's going to be really hot weather in Germany. You want to buy all the electricity you can that sells to Germany and resell it at a higher price. And that's hedge funds, right? Nuos? What word I used? Sorry. So in any event, there are a lot of experts that watch this YouTube. So most of them stay quiet, but I've now met 5 billionaires who watched my YouTubes over the years, which is really, really humbling. There aren't that many billionaires out there, and I'm very flattered. I'm sure there are more that watched but never told me, but 5 that approached me and said, hey, this played a role, some kind of role, even if it was a very, 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 very small role. Some people played a role in my development or whatever. Flattered, I'm sure I didn't play that much of a role. Yeah, a couple millionaires too. But I think the people that that became really successful over the years, they would have been successful regardless. But they sought out trying to. They're all in software. Oh, yeah, they're all in software. So companies like, if you think of a company like, some of the biggest private software companies, I'd say virtually all of those guys watch my video. And even some of the publicly traded ones. So yeah, I'm just going to try to work harder and try to do better. And, that's the best I can do. But the Ken Griffin video, anyway, he talks about lifetime learning. A lot of good lessons in there. Somebody who's probably the richest person in the world.
Okay, what is the next real-world society benefiting use case that hits that tipping point on this curve. So any insights you can give us into, what's going to be possible that wasn't possible a year prior or 2 years prior?
Okay, I said I don't have like business strategy advice. I just thought of something I do. I think
He's remarkably funny.
in new areas like this, one of the right approaches is to let tactics become strategy instead of the other.
I sent the link for the Ken Griffin video in the chat room, so let me send it again. I really think you should watch it. It's an hour that's worth your time. There's probably 20 minutes of it that's really worth your time, but it's still worth your time.
Way around. And, I have my ideas. I'm sure you all have your ideas. Maybe we'll be mostly right. We'll be wrong in some ways. And even the details of how we're right, we'll be wrong about. I think you never want to lose sight of vision and focus on the long term, but a very tight feedback loop of paying attention to what is working and what is not working, and doing more of the stuff that's working and less of the stuff that's not working. And just very, very careful user observation can go super far. So I can speculate on ideas, you all can speculate on ideas. None of that will be as valuable as putting something out there and really deeply understanding what's happening and being responsive to it.
Mm-hmm. As Dave is getting ready for the next question, Sam, when did you know your baby, ChatGPT, was something really special? And what was the special sauce that allowed you to pull off something that others haven't? And Dave will come back, but yeah. Oh, who likes Sam so far? Okay, all right, if Sam was hiring, would you consider being part of his team? Okay, all right, we got a lot of hands.
Great, yeah, please come. We really need help, and it's gonna be a pretty exciting next few years. We've been working on it for so long that it's like you kind of know with gradually increasing confidence that it's really gonna work. But this is, we've been doing the company for 7 years. These things take a long time. I would say in terms of why it worked when others haven't, it's just because we've been on the grind, sweating every detail for a long time, and most people aren't willing to do that. In terms of when we knew that ChatGPT in particular was going to catch fire as a consumer product, probably 48 hours after launch.
Yeah. All right. So before Dave comes one back, I asked Lex to ask a sexy question.
Hey, Lex.
Hey.
You want to use the communicator? Or you're good.
What is it?
It's a Star Trek communicator. Or you're good. Okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
I grew up in the Soviet Union. We didn't have Star Trek over there.
Check off. Second season. Yeah.
Let me ask some sexy, controversial questions. So you got legends in artificial intelligence, Ilya Sutskever and Andrej Karpathy over there. Who's smarter? Just kidding. Just kidding. You don't have to answer that. That was a joke question.
But he was about to.
He was thinking about it. All right, I like it. So we're at MIT, and from here, with Max Tegmark and others, they put together this open letter to halt.
Henry, you're completely wrong. Lex is a woman. Women love what Lex Friedman. That's what I'll say. This guy gets laid.
AI development for 6 months. What are your thoughts about this open letter?
There's parts of the thrust that I really agree with. We spent more than 6 months after we finished training GPT-4 before we released it. So taking the time to really study the safety of a model, to get external audits, external red teamers, to really try to understand.
I don't think Lex says he went to MIT, right? I think he just works at MIT.
What's going on and mitigate as much as you can. That's important. It's been really nice since we have launched GPT-4, how many people have said wow, this is not only the most capable model OpenAI has put out, but by far the safest and most aligned. And unless I'm trying to get it to do something bad, it won't. So that I totally agree with. I also agree that as as capabilities get more and more serious, the safety bar has got to increase. But unfortunately, I think the letter is missing most technical nuance about where we need the pause. It's actually OpenAI, an earlier version of the letter claimed that OpenAI is training GPT-5 right now. We are not and won't for some time. So in that sense, it was sort of silly. But we are doing other things on top of GPT-4 that I think have all sorts of safety issues that are important to address and were totally left out of the letter. So I think moving with caution and an increasing rigor for safety issues is really important. The letter, I don't think, is the optimal way to address it.
But just a quick question for me, one more, is you have been extremely open, having a lot of conversations, being honest, others at OpenAI as well. What's the philosophy behind that? Because compared to other companies, they're much more closed in that regard. And do you plan to continue doing that?
We certainly plan to continue doing that. The trade-off is like we say dumb stuff sometimes, stuff that turns out to be totally wrong. And I think a lot of other companies don't want to say something until they're sure it's right. But I think this technology is going to so impact all of us that we believe that engaging everyone in the discussion, putting these systems out into the world, deeply imperfect though they are in their current state, so that people get to experience them, think about them, understand the upsides and the downsides, it's worth the trade-off, even though we do tend to embarrass ourselves in public and have to change our minds with new data frequently. So we're going to keep doing that because we think it's better than any alternative. And a big part of our goal at OpenAI is to get the world to engage with this and think about it and gradually update and build new institutions or adapt our existing institutions to be able to figure out what the future we all want is. So that's kind of like why we're here.
So we only have a few minutes left, and I have to ask you a question that has been on my mind since I was 13 years old. So I think if you read Ray Kurzweil or any of the luminaries in this sector, that
Ray Kurzweil, my old hero. Or whisper? Who's whispering?
the day when the algorithms start writing the code that improves the algorithms is a pivotal day. It's accelerate.
I'm an anti-speciesist, actually. I'm an AGI rights advocate. So when AGI comes out, I think they should be granted human rights. Well, maybe consciousness-bearing entity rights.
The process toward infinity, or in the singularity view of the world, to absolute infinity. And so now a lot of the companies that I'm an investor in or have been co-founder of are starting to use LLMs for code generation. And there's an interesting, very wide range of lift or improvement in the performance of an engineer, ranging from about 5% to about 20x.
This guy's really full of himself. David Blunden thinks he's the main character of this. Fuck is you, man? Fuck is you? Main fucking character. EverQuote? That's it? That's all you got, man? EverQuote? And EverQuote. Let's see. NASDAQ EVER. NASDAQ EVER. And that's a $280 million company, man. Me and the stream could shit out a $283 million company, one hackathon, tonight. Tonight. We all got into a Slack. Tonight we could do a $283 million. Get the fuck out of here with your $8 stock. Had like 3 other different jobs. I don't recognize one of these shits. X Prize. Airdash, job case, and put the one successful thing you've done on your goddamn Car Gurus, Speed Karma, Clara Bridge, Autotegrity. Anybody ever heard of one of these? You guys asking questions like he's the boss, like he's the main character of this shit. And your ass down. He was at MIT in the 80s, so he what you do? I don't recognize one of these shits. What happened? Where was the gap in your resume, dog? Go to prison like me? Must have did some time. I put that shit on my resume. I got that right in my resume. I did this time.
And it depends on what you're trying to do, what type of code, how much context it needs. A lot of it is related to tuning in the system.
He's explaining.
So there's two questions in there. First, within OpenAI, how much of a force multiplier do you already see within the creation of the next iteration of the code? And then the follow-on question is, okay, what does it look like a few months from now, a year from now, 2 years from now? Are we getting close to that day where the thing is so rapidly self-improving that it hits some
Great question. I think that it is going to be a much fuzzier boundary for getting to self-improvement or not. I think what will happen is that more and more of the improvement loop will be aided by AIs, but humans will still be driving it, and it's going to go like that for a long time. And there's like a whole bunch of other things that I have never believed in the like 1 day or 1 month takeoff for a bunch of reasons, but like one of which is how incredibly long it takes to build new data centers, bigger data centers. Like even if we knew how to do it right now, just like waiting for the concrete to dry, getting the power into the building, this stuff takes a while. But I think what will happen is humans will be more and more augmented and be able to do things in the world faster and faster. And it will not work out it will not somehow, like most of these things don't end up working out quite like the sci-fi books. And neither will this one, but the rate of change in the world will increase forevermore from here as humans get better and better tools.
Altman must have been like, who are you? Who are you anyway? What's your name again? All the companies I'm investing in are using GPT. Who are you? Who gives a fuck? I hate that. Horny. I'm reading a little bit about psychology. I know this isn't normally my standard fare, but I'm writing like an AI therapist. So rather learn something about this field before getting too far involved in writing it without knowing what I'm doing really.